The technique of dubbing with a loop is rather simple and also suits stiff materials better than direct dubbing on a thread. The reason for this is because a twisted loop locks the material while it twists throughout the entire length of the loop. Besides tying thread, you will need a dubbing twister, which is basically a weight with a hook or two for attaching onto the loop. Start off as usual by attaching the thread to the hook and work your way to the point where you want your body to begin. When you've reached that, pull out a length of tying thread and hook it to the dubbing twister and adjust the length of the loop to your liking. Then what you see is I go back with my tying thread to the point where the loop starts and I make a wrap or two, and then this is very important. I go with the tying thread around the loop itself and back to the normal. And why I do this is to narrow the loop in the end towards the hook, which means when I start twisting it, it will start twisting right at the very beginning. I take my tying thread all the way to the front and try to keep it out of the way. Loading this loop with material is very easy. You see I have my finger in the loop itself and I keep it there and I take some dubbing, and I've chosen olive dyed seal's fur, which is a very coarse dubbing, so this method is ideal for this. I take a pinch of material and I slide it up into the loop, and I do this a few times, making sure I have a rather even carpet of dubbing, if you will, and I let the loop close in on the dubbing. What I do now, when I'm feeling happy about the concentration of dubbing, and I can see there I have no lumps in it, is I hold it here by the end and I start twisting the dubbing twister one way. And what happens when I let go is the dubbing loop twists around the dubbing and locks it in many places. So what you get is a yarn like you had with regular thread dubbing, but this is very sturdy. What you can do is also help it with your free hand just by spinning it like this in one direction. And then what you do is you take the twister and you work it as you would the tying thread. Work your way up towards the hook eye, and you can see that I'm stroking the fibers back for every turn I take, and that is to to lift the fibers off the hook shank, and so I get a maximum of fibers out from the body itself, like this. I can twist it even more now, once I've started this, up to this point here. And now I just do a tie off as I would any other material. I cross it with my tying thread a few times, like this. I come in with my scissors and I trim it off. Another way of dubbing is by spinning material in a split tying thread. This may sound complicated, but it really isn't. Work your way to the point you want your dubbed body to begin. And to illustrate this, I even have a rather thin thread to show you that it's really quite easy. What I do is I take a needle and I hold it on the back of the thread, and then I twist the thread, I twist the bobbin counterclockwise, and I go up and down with the needle like this until I can see that it's flattened. You should be able to see this as well. And I keep stroking it while I twist it counterclockwise to this point here. You can see it's significantly flatter now. And what I do is I come in from the back with the nail of my thumb, and I take the needle and I just split the thread like this into two. I lost it there. No worries. There we have it. Put my finger into it so I don't lose it again. And I've prepared some material here. And this is some light tan life cycle dubbing, quite soft, which I do trap in the loop, I mean the split thread, and I just slide it upwards, piece by piece, like so. And I can stretch it out and adjust it somewhat at least, and I close the thread by just pulling my finger out of there. The weight of the bobbin actually helps closing it, so you won't have to bother too much about that. And what you do is you pinch the thread under the material and you just spin the bobbin clockwise this time. And then I let go. And now you see that the material actually spins, it twists between the two parts of the thread. Now I can catch it and just work my way up to the front. And since the upper part of a dubbing loop and a split tying thread twists more than the lower part, it's a good idea to twist it more once you've made a few wraps around the hook. So you get an equal amount of twist in the dubbing throughout the fly. Like so. I will finish this fly off with a whip finish or two.